On a dusty road under a blazing sun, the journey to the west continued. Tripitaka, known formally as Tang Sanzang, led the way, his horse trudging along like it was wading through molasses. Behind him, his disciples, Sun Wukong, Pigsy, and Friar Sand, followed, each lost in their own thoughts. Suddenly a voice cried out from the side of the road, "Help! Someone please help me!" Tripitaka's head snapped up, eyes wide with concern. Wukong rolled his eyes. This was the fourth damsel in distress they'd encountered this week, and 3 had been demons. But Tripitaka, ever compassionate, was already off his horse. "What happened, my child?" Tripitaka asked, voice full of sympathy. A young woman, dressed in a flowing white gown with long cascading hair, wiped away fake tears. "Bandits attacked me. They took everything and left me to die." Wukong crossed his arms, his sharp eyes seeing through her disguise. This wasn't a helpless woman. It was the white bone demon, one of the most cunning creatures around. She wasn't here for help. She was here for a meal. Before the woman could say more, Wukong stepped forward, his golden cudgel appearing in his hand. "Nice try, lady, but I'm not falling for it." The demon feigned surprise. I don't know what you mean," she stammered. "Save it," Wukong snapped, twirling his cudgel. "I've seen better disguises." With a swift motion, he swung his weapon. The woman vanished in a flash of light, leaving only a cloud of white bones behind. Tripitaka gasped, horrified. "Wukong, how could you? She was just a poor, helpless woman." Wukong sighed, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. "Master, that was a demon. She wanted to eat you." Tripitaka shook his head, eyes filled with disappointment. "You have to learn restraint, Wukong. Not every problem can be solved with violence." Wukong clenched his teeth, struggling to keep his cool. "I'm trying to protect you." But Tripitaka had already turned his back, leading the group away. As they continued, Wukong felt the weight of his master's disappointment pressing down on him. He'd saved them from a demon, yet here he was, chastised like a child. How much longer could he protect someone who didn't want to be saved? The next day they navigated a dense forest, the canopy above blocking out most of the sunlight. Friar Sand led the way, using his staff to clear a path through the undergrowth, while Pigsy lagged behind, grumbling about the heat. Wukong was on edge, eyes scanning for any sign of danger. He knew the white-bone demon wasn't done. As they reached a clearing, an old man appeared, hunched over a walking stick, his clothes ragged and dirty. "Please, kind sirs," he called out, his voice quivering. "I'm lost and hungry. Can you spare some food?" Tripitaka's heart softened immediately. "Of course," he said, stepping forward. But Wukong grabbed his arm. "Not so fast, master," Wukong warned, eyes narrowing at the old man. "This is another trick." Tripitaka frowned, shaking off Wukong's grip. "You're being paranoid. Not everyone we meet is a demon in disguise." Wukong stood his ground, placing himself between his master and the old man. "I'm not taking any chances." The old man's eyes flickered with annoyance, but he quickly masked it with a pitiful expression. "I mean no harm. I'm just a lost soul." Wukong raised his cudgel, pointing it directly at the old man. "Enough. Show your true form, demon." Before anyone could react, Wukong swung his staff. The old man crumpled to the ground, dissolving into a pile of bones. The white bone demon had failed again. Tripitaka's face turned red with anger. "Wukong, that was just an old man. How could you?" Wukong's patience was wearing thin. "Master, it was the white bone demon again. She's trying to trick us." But Tripitaka wouldn't listen. "You have to see the good in people, Wukong, not just the bad." Wukong felt a knot tighten in his chest. How could he make Tripitaka understand he was only trying to protect him? Every necessary action was met with disappointment and anger. Pigsy, scratching his head, tried to mediate. "Master, maybe Wukong's right. His instincts are usually spot on." Tripitaka was resolute. "No, Budgie. Wukong needs to learn restraint. We can't harm innocent people." Wukong turned away, frustration bubbling inside him. He had sworn to protect Tripitaka, but how could he do that when his master wouldn't trust him? As they moved on, Wukong walked ahead, his mind a storm of anger and confusion. He glanced back at Tripitaka, praying for the old man's soul, unaware of the danger he'd just escaped. Wukong took a deep breath, trying to calm his nerves. He knew one thing: the white bone demon wasn't going to give up, and neither was he. The forest trail narrowed, winding up steep slopes and around jagged cliffs. The journey grew more treacherous, and the tension between Wukong and Tripitaka thickened. Despite the clear danger, Tripitaka remained as stubborn as ever, his faith in non-violence unwavering. As they reached a plateau, a woman's desperate cries filled the air. "Help! Someone help me, please!" Tripitaka's heart ached at the sound. Without a second thought, he moved toward the voice, but Wukong quickly blocked his path. "Master, wait!" Wukong warned. "This could be another one of her tricks." Tripitaka, exasperated, shook his head. "Wukong, not every cry for help is a trap." Ignoring Wukong, Tripitaka hurried toward the cries. In a clearing, they found a woman holding a baby, tears streaming down her face. "My son, he's so ill. Please help us." Wukong's eyes narrowed. A new trick. The white-bone demon had never disguised herself as a mother before. He stepped forward, ready to expose her, but Tripitaka raised a hand to stop him. "Enough, Wukong. Can't you see this woman is suffering? We must help her." Wukong's frustration surged. He knew this was the white-bone demon. He could sense the malice around her, but Tripitaka was blinded by compassion. The demon's plan was clever, playing on Tripitaka's deepest sympathies. "Please, great monk," the demon begged, her tear-streaked face turned towards Tripitaka. "Have mercy on us." Wukong clenched his jaw. He couldn't let this go on. He raised his cudgel, ready to strike, but Tripitaka stepped in his way. "No, Wukong, I won't let you harm this innocent woman." Wukong's eyes blazed with frustration. "Master, this is the white bone demon. She's deceiving you." Tripitaka's voice was firm. "Wukong, if you strike again, you're gone. I won't allow this violence." Wukong froze, his cudgel still raised. His master wouldn't budge, but he knew if he did nothing, the demon would attack. He had no choice. "I'm sorry, Master," Wukong said, his voice heavy, "but I can't let her harm you." He swung his cudgel. The woman and child vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving a heap of bones. The white bone demon's disguise had failed. Tripitaka stared at the bones, then at Wukong, his face a mix of anger and betrayal. "Wukong, I told you not to strike. I thought you had learned restraint." Wukong's shoulders slumped under the weight of his actions. "I did what I had to do to protect you, Master, even if it means you'll never forgive me." Tripitaka's patience snapped. His face hardened as he began to chant, "Om Mani Padme Hum." Immediately, pain shot through Wukong's head as the golden band tightened. He fell to his knees, clutching his head. "Master, please. I was only trying to protect you." Tripitaka's voice was cold. "You have caused enough harm, Wukong. This recklessness cannot continue." As the pain subsided, Wukong gasped for breath, humiliation cutting deeper than the spell's agony. He looked up at Tripitaka, eyes filled with sorrow. "I understand, Master. I will go." With a heavy heart, Wukong rose and leaped into the air, flying away. As he soared through the sky, he glanced back one last time. He had done what was necessary, but at what cost? As Wukong flew away, frustration gnawed at him. He'd protected his master, yet he was banished for his loyalty. Landing on a solitary peak, Wukong sat down, his golden cudgel across his lap. His thoughts raced. Why couldn't Tripitaka see the truth? Why was he so blinded by compassion? Meanwhile, on the mountain trail, Tripitaka walked in silence, the image of the woman and child haunting him. He knew Wukong had tried to protect him, but the violence disturbed him deeply. Pigsy broke the silence. "Master, maybe we were too harsh on Wukong. He always has our best interests at heart, even if his methods are extreme." Tripitaka sighed, doubt weighing on him. "Perhaps you're right, Baji. Wukong's loyalty is undeniable, but so is his recklessness. I acted out of fear and frustration. I wonder if I've made a mistake." Friar San nodded. "Wukong may be brash, but his instincts are sharp. He's saved us many times because he sees what we don't." Tripitaka paused, looking back. "I need time to reflect. We've lost a valuable ally today, and I must understand why." As night fell, Wukong sat alone, resolve hardening. He couldn't let this be the end. Taking a deep breath, he leaped into the air, determined to return and prove his loyalty again. The road to the west was long, but Wukong knew that together they could face any challenge. And so the Monkey King flew on, his heart filled with hope and determination, ready to fight for his place by Tripitaka's side once more.